All right, let's start with After Effects. So AE is After Effects. I'm running After Effects 2026. And I want to kind of, set up the idea of what After Effects can be used for, what it should be used for, how we're going to use it, that kind of thing. After Effects is very complicated, and it can really overwhelm you. It does take a good deal of memory to typically run After Effects well. So let's start with just the setup. When you launch After Effects, one or two things may happen. You likely will get a screen that will say, welcome back to After Effects, like this does here, but it will have a dialog box that will give you some training or some tips, or here's what's new since the last time you were here. This one, I open it up where I can see my most recent projects, and you see I haven't worked in After Effects in a while, but we can also create a new project. So when you create a new project, you get basically a canvas. And the first thing I like to do with my new project is do a save as. So I'm going to give my project a name, and we're going to call it New Project MCM 464, right? Where am I going to save it to? I'm going to save it to, wherever I've chosen to save it to. For me, I'm going to save it to this area on my computer, WNSB Mass Share, right? The file format, I don't want it to be a template. I want it to be a project, right? We hit save. So now I've saved it. Now let's kind of go through just the way the screen looks. Over here is the project area. This is where my files would go. This is navigation. If you get like 500 files or 2,000 files in there, it can be difficult. So you can, tap in whatever is kind of important to see. And it'll show up here. It'll give you a name and a type and all kinds of other stuff. Down here, this is kind of the timeline. It's similar to the timeline that you'll see in Premiere, but it's a little bit different. It's very layered. Most often, all you really are working with is video and not typically audio. However, it will handle it. And across the top here of this area are some controls for that. We'll talk about that later. This is the canvas. This is where things actually go, right? And then as you kind of bring things in, you'll be able to, look over here and find ways that you can either add effects or see different things, and you'll be able to go through here and it will change a little bit at a time as to what's available over here. Now, what people often get upset about is like things change on their screen and they're like, oh my God, what happened? You can always just go back to default and use default, right? So I'm going to create a new composition. Let's start with that. New composition. I'm going to give it a name, and I'm going to give this composition a name of Moving Square, right? I have it as a high definition product, 1920 by 1080. It's 29 frames a second. We're using the square pixels, or 16 by 9 essentially. And here again is all that kind of information. We're going to be working in full resolution. And the start time code is 0 and the end is 30. But I don't want to do that. I'm going to make mine just 10 seconds in length. Right? Now, you could, in fact, pick any of these based on what it is you're trying to accomplish. Right? You can go into 4K, 8K. If you have something that's based on some kind of social media platform, you can go here. So this 720 by 1280 is likely going to be a little bit more of a fit for Instagram, while the 1280 by 720 is going to be probably more of a fit for standard HD TVs or computer screens. This 1080 by 1080 is unique. I don't know what you would use it for necessarily, but it's there. And then you have a whole bunch of other ones. You can create your own. If you know what you need, you can go into custom and you can make all the changes to these things as needed. Sorry, but we're not going to do that. We know what we want. We don't have to go to advanced or the 3D renderer at this point. We hit OK. Now, you see this turn green here? That means that no rendering is required. Why? because there's nothing here to render yet. We haven't gotten anything to render. Our composition is here, moving. That matches that. The composition will always kind of be represented this way. And then if you need more information about the composition, you can move this over. You can see it's a composition. This is the frame rate, and this is the in point, the out point, and you can put more data points in here. Does it come from something? Whatever the case may be. Now what we want to do is just have a moving square. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to make a new layer. Let's go in here. Click in composition down the bottom. I'm going to go to layer, and I'm going to have new. I'm going to make a new solid. Right? And right now this is the color of my solid. It's orange. This is how big my solid is. And it's called orange solid. I don't want it to be orange. So let's go with green. So I just go to my color picker and find green. If you happen to know your color in RGB space, if you know the numbers that represent red, green, and blue, you can put those in. You can also use your color picker and go and highlight some color and pick that color. So we're going to pick that green. This is what it was. If I hit cancel, it's going to still be orange. If I hit OK, it's going to become this green. Right? So we see that. And then let's change this name to green solid, but let's just say we want to call it Spartan green. We hit OK. And it's going to be 1920 by 1080, so the whole screen becomes green. Now I can see the bounding box that is this particular shape, and I can make this smaller. And what I'm going to do is I'm just moving it with my hand, just by taking my cursor and moving it around. And that's kind of free-handing it. You can make mistakes this way. If you want to be exact, you should try to be exact. Let me, in fact, let's turn on some things. We're going to turn on our guides. We're going to turn on our title and action safe guide. And what this basically tells us is inside these lines, you're going to be probably safe. All right, I want to move up maybe above that. Today we're going to make a moving box or a moving square that is a lower third. And the square is probably not the best way to describe it. It's a moving rectangle essentially. Now, these lines represent the safe spaces on the screen based on the actual size of the screen. So this one's going to be out here. It's going to be everything that's inside of this line and this line, this line, and this line is going to be safe for 1920 by 1080. And this one is going to be safe for a distance a little bit smaller, and this is going to be your standard definition safe space. This one here that's inside these lines, that's going to be for standard definition. But we're working in a 1920 by 1080 space, so we want to start there. Then what I want to do is I want to add another layer, and what we'll do is instead of adding a solid, we want to add a shape. All right? And now I have a shape layer, and I can draw it. You see it as a star? I can draw a square, or a rectangle, or whatever the case may be. And while I still have this drawing tool, I can draw more of them. Draw all I want. Now, just like in any other tool, any other piece of software, Command Z or Control Z if you're using Windows will just be an undo. And that's all I want. I'm going to come over here and use this tool as my selection tool, and I'm going to move it. I'm going to move it right here. Let's move it over here. Yeah, let's move it over here. And I can make it smaller or larger. I can change the dimensions. And so here we go. Let's just go for that. Now that I have it picked, I'm going to go and leave it right here. I want you to look over here about what this is telling us about the shape's properties. It's 312.8 by 228.9. Let me give this thought. Let's say I want it to be 300 by 300. Now watch what happens. It got bigger, but it's not 300 by 300. It went to 409 by 300. That's because right now it's locked. So if I hit that, it's no longer locked. So now if I hit that 300 by 300, it's going to be 300 by 300. Right? Now if I lock it, if I change this to 600, the other piece, the other end side of it changes to 600. I can add some roundness to it, and it's no longer a straight rectangle, but something a little bit different. It's got a nice round edge, and I'm gonna just kind of switch it like this. And it almost is starting to look like a little bit of a TV screen, so to speak. Okay, right now the fill is red. I don't like red as a fill. I'm a Spartan, so we're gonna go for maybe a yellow. I'm going to try to get it down a little bit. Man, I don't know. That feels decent, I guess. I don't know. Right? I'm going to put it right here. I want it to be a little bit smaller. Like that. And that's the fill. But if I want to change the stroke, which is the outside, stroke is the outside color. Right now it's white and it's only at 2. I can change the stroke. We're going to change it to black. And then we're going to make it a little bit larger. And as you see, I'm making those changes. It's getting larger. And what you'll notice is it's a lot like Photoshop. It has a lot of similar features. But what it's going to do is it's going to let us move things. And let's say I go to this setting here in this this green rectangle in the back. And this is more like kind of a fluorescent green, almost a chroma key color green, and I want it to be more of a Spartan green. And so I can double click it and get inside of it, and I can see the properties of it, or I can highlight it and then go to layer, and I want to get the solid settings, Spartan green solid settings, and I can go right here again, and I'm gonna make it a little bit darker. And that feels closer to the green that I'm looking for. All right. And now I'm feeling pretty good about it, right? But let's play it and see what happens. It's doing absolutely nothing. No movement, no excitement. It's nothing special. And then it's only 10 seconds, so it's just going to loop around in a circle and keep doing that. All right, so I'll hit stop, which is the space bar to stop it. That's fine. You also have a transport up here, which has play and stop, step back a frame, step all the way back to the beginning. All right, so now I got a shape, and we're going to call that shape. We can rename that shape. We're going to rename that. We're going to call it Yellow TV. Okay. And so here are my layers. I have Yellow TV, which is on top of Spartan Green. If I wanted to reverse that, I could do that. Very simple. But I want it here. Now, what I want to do is I'm going to start keyframing this. So let's take the Yellow TV and let's go to Transform. This is where we're going to start our keyframe. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to start at where I want it to end. We're going to start with the end in mind. So at, say, 1.5 seconds or 1 second and 15 frames, and I can dial that in. Let's say I dialed in 1 second, or if I want to dial in 1 second and 15 frames, right? Then I'm going to say the position is right where it is. So that's where I want the position to be at 1 second and 15 frames. And the size is where I want it to be. I want it to be at 100%. And the opacity, how much I can see it, is where I want it to be. Now, you can change all of these things. I typically try only to, really kind of work with, position, opacity, and scale, sometimes rotation. I usually do not bother with anchor point. So let's go back to 0. And now I'm going to put in keyframes again. I'm going to keyframe, And I'm saying that all those places where it was, that's exactly where I want it to be then. But no, that's not actually it. What I'm going to do is make some changes. So I'm taking that off screen. And you can see this demonstrates where it's supposed to be, but where it starts. So when I hit the space bar, it comes in. All right. And if you go backwards, you can see it move back in that direction. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to 1 second and 15 frames again. And I'm going to take and go transform on Spartan Green. And I'm going to take its position at 1 second and 15 frames. And I'm going to kind of, let's see if we can just reset that. So that should be like 960, not 961. Right? Just because I'm a little bit anal about it. And I'm going to go back to now that I've set that keyframe, so that means that's the ending position for this period in time. But now I'm going to go to 0, and what I'm going to do at 0 is I'm going to take that same coordinate and I'm going to move it the opposite direction. Right? I'm just moving that in the opposite direction. Now I can punch in where I want it to be. 0. Or now I'm going minus. So I can go minus 960. I don't know what I hit there. Minus 960. There we go. Why that happened, I don't know. I think my fingers are fat. All right, so now when I hit this button, they both come in. And they meet at a place where I said this is the finish. But look at that. That's crooked. So I must have done something to some other coordinate here. So what I'm going to do is, because I don't remember what my fat finger did, is I'm just going to hit undo until I see it straighten out. There it is. It's straightened out. Now I'm going to punch in minus 960. Now I'm going to hit it again. It's nice and straight. Everything's fine. Great. Okay, so we've done this. So far, so good. The problem is this looks a little flat. Like this just laying on top of that. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go and highlight yellow TV again. And I'm going to go to layer. And I'm going to go in here to layer styles. If you've been using Photoshop, this will look familiar. And I'm going to hit a drop shadow on layer style. Right? Now the problem with putting a shadow on it at this point is it's hard to see that shadow if you have a black stroke. So let's go in to that particular area where the stroke exists. Right? Stroke right here, over here, and I can roll this down and I can change the color. But remember, when we actually added the stroke, it was over here. This just is married to that. They are the same thing. So this area over here and this area over here, when working with shapes, it's the same thing. So let's take that and make that stroke white. And I want to make that stroke a little thinner. Like this. Okay, great. Now I can get rid of that area by getting rid of my contents and not looking at that. And if I want to adjust my shadow, I can go down here to layer styles underneath inside of that particular frame. And all the adjustments for my shadow exist right here. So let's say I want my shadow to be a little bit larger. And if you look, my shadow is getting more pronounced. A little shadow in television gives you some depth. And I can give myself a little spread so it gets even a little bit more pronounced. And you can give it distance. And in fact, you can change the distance over time. But I'm going to give it just a little bit of distance. And that distance, and then change my opacity just slightly. So it doesn't look like a big black spot. But it does look like a little shadow, and Now I have a little bit, it's no longer very flat. Doesn't feel as flat. And as long as it's still green, it means it's going to play it pretty close to real time. There you go. Okay, great. Now, let's say I'll go to a 1 second and 15 frames, right where we were. Now what I want to do is I'm going to create a new layer. I'm going to create me a text layer now, right? And I like to just make my text layer out in the open and just start typing Spartan News, WNSU TV 47. I'm going to highlight that whole thing. And just like if I was using Microsoft Word or whatever, I have the ability to do all kinds of things to it. I can center that text, so it's now centered. I can, just like if I was using Word, I can change my font to bold. And I can change my font to something else. And so what I like, because it's TV, is I'm going to use Impact, which kind of shows up big. And you guys have probably seen it before. There we go. Now I can take my Move tool and I can move it over top of this. Right? Wonderful. Now the problem I have now is that white just seems to just screaming, and it's kind of, let me turn off the title save. That white is screaming a little bit, but it also be on the yellow. It feels like it's disappearing a little bit. So maybe what I'll do is I'll put some stroke on it. It's got a white stroke. It's got a white fill, and right now it has no stroke. So I'm going to go ahead and put the stroke on, and immediately that stroke looks a lot better. I can see it. It's more pronounced. At the same time, I think I'm going to make the text just a little bit bigger. Right? Maybe 48 is a little bit too big. We're going to make it say 45. I'm just going to dial that right in. And it's not quite centered where I want it to be. I'm going to just move it this way. I'm doing this by eye right now. Unhighlight it, and there it is. That's that's exactly what I want. And if I highlight the whole thing like this, I'm just going to highlight this part, right? I can make that a little bit wider. Right? Maybe I want to make it just a little bit wider. Right? And I can come here, the Spartan News, and I can make it a little bit tighter. So I'm going to go there, and I'm going to change my kerning right here and make it a little bit tighter. Maybe a little bit more. Okay. Now I'm just going to click out so it's no longer highlighted. Now it looks like it's about even with each other. Uh-oh, look at that. It's always there. While the other things are moving, it's just sitting there. So I'm going to go to 1 second, and this time 18 frames. Right? I'm going to go to 1 second and 18 frames, and I'm going to go down to transform. And this time I'm going to go to opacity. Opacity is like how much can you see it. And I make it 100% at 1 second and 18 frames. And then at 1 second and 15 frames, I'm going to make it 0. So now what should happen is it should fade on in 3 frames. There we go. All right. So in 1 second and 18 frames, my big movement and everything that I wanted to have this do occurs. Right? Now, let's say what I want to then do is I want to bring the name of the talent that's on the desk on. All right? And so when do I want the talent's name to come on? I want the talent's name to begin to animate on probably at 1 and 15 frames. So we're going to go in here again, and we're going to go and make a new text frame, and we're going to call this Maynard Scales. Host. All right. I'm going to move this into place. Now what I want to do before I settle on that is I'm going to turn on my title safe and make sure I'm in a good space. Right? And I feel like, okay, this is probably decent right here. Now what I want to do is, because it's a lower third, I'm going to make it larger. And I'm going to put this right there. Okay. And maybe I may do something like this. Maybe I'll take this, and it's a little bit big. It's 86. Let's say I take it and make it, say, 76. Right? Fine. I like that. That's good. And I'm going to put it right here. Now I'm going to double click it. And I hit a return, so I'm underneath of it. And I'm going to say, you know, NSU's finest. Okay? But now look at it. It's off. It doesn't make sense. It's not quite on. So what I can do is this. I can highlight just that much, and I can make that much smaller, and I can take it from impact to, let's just make it industry, and I'm going to make it, instead of thin, I'm going to make it maybe medium metallic, right? And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to make it go one side or the other, right? So it's going to be there. But they still are a little bit weird. So I'm going to take my name and I'm going to change that to one side or the other. I'm going to make it right there. Okay, great. Now look at it. It's off the screen. It makes no sense. That's okay because I changed the center point. So now I have what I want. It's kind of what I was looking for. Okay, cool. So I feel like there we go again. Look at that. It's not in the right place. It's not in the right place. Okay, so what do I want to do? I want to animate this somehow. I want to do two things at once. I'm going to go to 1 second. Let's say we go to 1 second and 18 frames. Right? And what we're going to do is we're going to go into my particular layer, which is my name. And my name, and we're going to go into transform. And what we're going to do is we're going to go to scale, opacity, and position. Right? No problem. Now I'm going to go over, and I want this to start to begin animating at 1 second and 15 frames. This is where I wanted to start. And the start, I want it to be 0, right? And then scale, I want it to be 0. And maybe I'll leave position alone. So now when I play it, it should pop. It popped on, but that you can't even see that popping on. So let me show you what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna go back to these keyframes right here, and as you can see, these little keyframes exist, and I can move that this way into the future. As I move it into the future, I'm gonna say, let's take and move it to directly at 2 seconds. So I'm on 2 seconds. Then I'm gonna move this directly to 2 seconds. And I'm gonna move this directly to 2 seconds. And let's give it a shot. Let's see what we got. There we go. That looks like, all right, I feel very comfortable and I'm happy. So this is a lower third and the build is done, but now we have to export it. And that means once we export it, we can take it into Photoshop. So let's export it. Let's see if we do this right the first time. So now we have a composition that's finished. We're going to go to composition and we're going to go to the render queue. So we're going to add to render queue. You see this is the shortcut for it. So we're going to add it to render queue. All right, you guys are so familiar with H.264. This is wonderful. This is my lower third. I'm going to bring it into Adobe Premiere, and we're going to see what happens. Right? Wonderful. It's going to become an H.264. This is going to be the name of it. It's going to be an MPEG-4. Let me see. Where's it going to go? Oh, it's going to promotions. I don't want it to go there. I want it to go here into mass share. Okay. All right. Wonderful. I'm happy. Okay. I'll hit render. And those 300 frames, 10 seconds times 30 frames a second is 300. And it's done. Great. Now what I can do is I can simply roll here, click this right here, and it's going to show it to me as a brand new file. Oh, that's wonderful. I'm so very pleased, right? Let's see if it really works. So we're going to go into Premiere. And in Premiere, I don't really care about Premiere right now. That's not what I'm training. So I'll just create a quick file. We're going to call this test third to see if we got this working, right? I'm so excited. I can't wait to get started. I'm going to bring in my new lower third. I'm going to drag it in to the project, okay? And then and so we want to see it work, okay? We're going to see it work. And let's see here. Let's just find some kind of piece of footage or picture or something that it can go over that would kind of stand in for me. Right? Let me see. I got all kinds of things to go here, and I have stock media, station logos, marketing materials, promotional headshots. There we go. And somewhere in promotional headshots is me. Let's see. Is this me? Nope, that's not me. And we're going to just pick something in a second. That's definitely not me. We're just going to pick something. All right, let's just pick this. That's the team. That's fine. We'll just pick the team for right now. This is just a sample. So then we go on the timeline and we have that in, right? And now we're going to take, okay, we can see the team. Wonderful. Now we're going to take our new lower third that has motion. Let's double click the lower third and watch the motion. Yep, look at that motion. Wonderful. So what we want to do is put that on top. Let's see. Wait a minute. This doesn't make sense. I got this big black box, right? It doesn't fit quite right. Okay, all right. Well, two things are wrong here. I got this big black box. I want to see the lower third without that big black box. The second thing is the sequence that we created over here, it's not right. So let's do this. While we're here, let's go to sequence settings, highlight the sequence itself, and go to sequence settings. And the sequence is way crazy in size. We're going to make the sequence 1920 by 1080 and 16 by 9. And all right, let's see. We hit OK. That's fine. Now at least it fits. But look, I still can't see us. Right? Now what I could do is I could key it out. But that's not how you want to do it. Let me share with you how you want to do this. We're going to go back to After Effects. And it's about the export. You have to export it correctly if you want to get that to work. Now, I've told you that television in America works on 3 colors. RGB, red, green, and blue. And this is, although this is green, and that's yellow, and that's white, this is a RGB space. But there's one that's kind of hidden and you can't see. It's called A for alpha. So what we're going to do is we're going to get ready to export this again with an alpha channel, which is the invisible channel. Now, the problem is H.264 does not support an alpha channel. So look at this. We want to go to our channels, RGB. Now you can have an alpha channel, but you can't have an RGB plus alpha. It's not enough computer information in that particular codec. What we're going to do is we're going to go to QuickTime, and then in QuickTime we're going to select a format option that's going to let us have RGB and alpha. So we go to Format Options. The one that I prefer us to use is going to be Apple ProRes 444. You see, there's all of a sudden, instead of 3 numbers like these, there are 4 numbers. there is a 4 for each color: red, green, blue, and then the hidden one, alpha. So we've chosen alpha. We've chosen RGB. We've chosen Apple ProRes 4444. Now we drop this down, and now we can select alpha. And what alpha basically says is, if it's a channel that exists that doesn't have any information in it, it will not put them black, but it will put it as empty, or the alpha channel. Okay, so now we have it as alpha. Now we can have audio be punched out with this, or no audio punched out, or be kind of like an automatic. So what we're going to do is, there is no audio that goes along with it, so we're going to turn the audio off because there is no audio. We'll hit OK. And now it's already made it moving square, but it's made it moving square 1 because it realized that there was one there. But I'm going to change that to moving square alpha. And I'll hit save. And now all we need to do is hit render. And it's rendering it out. And it's done. So now let's go and look for it by hitting this button here. Now let's look at the first one. See the solid black behind there? I know that's not the right one. Let's go to look at this one. We got that solid black again. Let's take a look at what happens when we bring it in. Go to Premiere and then bring it over. And we're going to use moving square alpha. And now all of a sudden, I have my lower third, right? Let's take this and we'll fit that to frame, right? Something like that. And let's play it, see what happens. That's how you're going to make your lower third. Okay? That's it. Now, you can since you got to do your video show, I want you to make yourself a lower third that does something similar. Now, you can use any of the tricks that existed, but this is what we're trying to do. You might say, because you've used Premiere, oh, I can do that work in Premiere. You can, but that's not Premiere's job. That's not the best use of Premiere. And this is just scratching the surface of what After Effects will do for you. It will do so much more. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to put a little bit of a dissolve on the front side. And remember, all my animation occurs in 1 second and about 18 frames. This animation is 1 second. So I don't want, that dissolve was 1 second. I don't want my dissolve to take so long that I miss the animation. So there we go. That's it. Now imagine behind this would have been me talking, over the next music video or whatever the case may be. That's what we're trying to accomplish. So I'm giving you this as the tutorial for how to use After Effects to make a lower third. Super simple. Now I'm finished and I can hit save. Right? Right. And go back over here. And if I needed, he spelled his name wrong, I can just double click it, change the spelling, right? Whatever the case may be. And then export it again, and it will override and export that. And we'll be done. Now, there are some ways to do some auto updates to this so that you can have multiple names and don't have to type them in. But let's just start with this. I want you to create a lower third for your show. Now, that's the end of that lesson. If you have questions, let me